So, William, what can you tell me about what's being allowed in, what kind of help you can provide, or whether you can't?
Firstly, thanks very much for having me on the show. But I very much agree with both Nick and Gideon. I mean, there is very little aid in there at the moment at all, and the amount that's going to be allowed or able to get through the Rafah crossing in Egypt is very little. Partly because the crossing has been bombed, but also because it has to reach those where people are, and of course the infrastructure inside southern Gaza is as badly damaged as in the north. In terms of what we're able to do at the moment, well, as an NGO that supports local organizations, we have been able to support some Palestinian NGOs who are supporting those who have sheltered from the north, who've made the journey from Gaza City down to Khan Yunis, and also to help support some of the emergency medical relief. But it is a drop in the ocean in terms of what people actually need. As both your previous guests have said, the situation there is absolutely desperate. And again, like Nick, I've been on the phone or WhatsApping continuously with friends and colleagues and staff throughout Gaza for the last 10 days. And the sense of fear and desperation and sense of abandonment and lack of protection is truly palpable. And obviously the situation with the bombing of the hospital last night, regardless of who bombed it, is only going to exacerbate the situation, because quite apart from those who obviously were killed, those who can no longer be treated there, whether that be obviously people who are casualties from the war, but also people who were requiring treatment, or women who were giving birth. I mean, there are some horrific stories of women who haven't been able to get to hospital to give birth, or people who are who are needing medicine that they no longer can access, like insulin for diabetics, or who haven't got the refrigeration. I mean, the situation is really horrendous. And as I said, the sense of fear that I hear in people's voices, and that not knowing whether they'll get through the night, not knowing whether they'll actually be there when we call the next day, is really, really hard to bear.
What would Christian Aid want to be enabled to do, or want to enable other people to do? What would the plan be if you could only manage to do it?
Well, I think for the sake of all of the people of the region, particularly those in Gaza now, an immediate ceasefire. There is, this afternoon, the Archbishop of Canterbury issued a statement calling for an end to all of the hostilities. And we would echo that, because whilst the fighting is continuing, the only thing that you can be absolutely sure of is that there will be more deaths. There will be more children who are left either orphaned, or parents who lose their children. So the most important thing is for there to be a cessation of hostilities. But obviously the need then will be for an enormous amount of aid, and much more than can be delivered across the Rafah border, because the needs will be immense. And obviously that begins with water, with medicine and food, but also people have lost everything: blankets and mattresses, and the basics just for the most basic of living is required.
Well, I thank you very much indeed for joining me, and I really do hope, obviously, as everybody I'm sure does, that as much aid as possible can be brought to the area as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.